you have auspicious days and causes of success. May you have the confidence to always do your best. May you take no effort in your being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating in your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. May the road less paved be the road that you follow. Whoa. Well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. I want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. I want you to have it all. 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 May you be as fascinating as a slap bracelet. May you keep the chaos and the clutter off your desk. May you have unquestionable health and less stress. Having no possessions, though immeasurable wealth. May you get a gold star on your next test. May your educated guesses always be correct. And may you win prizes shining like diamonds. May you really own it each moment to the next. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa. May the road less paved be the road that you follow. Whoa. Well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. My name is Lily Banning. I am the Community Impact Director with the American Heart Association. And as we kick things off today, I just want to thank you for being here. We're on our third in this series of industry-wide trainings, and we really appreciate you all joining. We are here because heart disease disproportionately impacts the construction industry, and that's why the American Heart Association is committed to Hard Hats with Heart. This is a campaign that's focused on improving the health of the industry so that we see an end to statistics like 1 in 25 craft workers have diabetes, or 1 in 4 are struggling with obesity. 1 in 4 craft workers are diagnosed with high blood pressure. These are staggering numbers, and we're going to talk a little bit more about risk and what you can do today. But first, a couple of housekeeping items. Today's discussion is a webinar format, so that just means we cannot see you, but we still want to hear from you. We will also have time throughout the program and at the end for question and answer, so please put your questions in the chat box. Make sure when you type in that you hit that little arrow and you select all panelists and attendees from that drop down so that we can see those questions. And let's just try it out. If you can type in the chat, how about where you're joining us today? Are you in a home office? Are you on a job site? Are you in Portland? Are you outside of metro area? Are you in your car? If everyone can join, type in, thank you so much. Great. So we're getting home office, chemist, Seattle, Malala, Washington. Great. Nice to have folks from both Oregon and Washington. Thank you so much. So that's where you'll type your questions throughout the chat. And I will dive in. Throughout this training, you will hear from a registered dietitian on the intersection of what you eat and your heart health. She will highlight the difference between high quality fuel and poor quality fuel and answer your questions related to diet. We're also going to hear from a Hard Hats with Heart ambassador and a local leader about his own journey and the tools he's using both personally and with his team and apprentices to reduce risk. And next we'll discuss what you can do on your job sites and in your workplaces, whether you're an employee or a supervisor or an executive leader, action steps that you can take and what are the resources available to increase access to healthy food. And last but definitely not least, we will be joined by a local chef who's going to show us how to make a healthy, balanced, and delicious meal. So first, I would like to welcome our sponsor of today's training, Corey Zerba from the Enterprise Solutions Specialist with DeWalt.
Hello, my name is Corey Zerba and I work for DeWalt. I'm going to talk to you for a few minutes on behalf of the American Heart Association, Hard Hats with Hearts. Basically nutrition and sugars that we all choose to decide to put into our bodies on a daily basis and what they can do to your body. Give you a personal example of myself. About 3 years ago, I lost my dad. After losing my dad, I knew that I needed to probably make some choices. So I went and saw a doctor, had some blood work done, and in a stunning development, basically I was a walking heart attack. I had very high cholesterol, very high blood pressure, and was put on very high medication immediately, which scared me. But part of that also, I knew it was fixable. And being fixable is diet and exercise and being mindful on what I was putting into my body on a daily basis. I've been in the construction industry, electrical industry for about 15 years. So I know what it's like to not pack a lunch and then you go to a 7-Eleven and you buy an energy drink and a candy bar, a bag of chips, or the taco truck shows up and you eat this high cholesterol, huge burrito that tastes delicious, but it is absolutely not good for you. So I made, on my end, a lot of personal decisions. Having those results back from a doctor scared me. So what I would say to the men and women that are watching this, that are in trades, doesn't matter what trade you are in, you need to be mindful of all the sugars and fatty materials that you're putting into your body, because over time they will make a difference to you. By cutting all those foods out, you start feeling better, you look better, you're going to lose weight if you are overweight, and you're not going to be on blood pressure or cholesterol medicine. So things that helped me out in doing all that was packing lunches the night before, whether I was cutting up and bagging up veggies or fruits, make a sandwich without using processed meats, a lot of salads, and drank a lot of water. Cut out all of the sugars, all the Gatorades, all of the energy drinks. Still like my coffee black, so I didn't cut any of that stuff out. But I was very mindful of what I was putting in my body. And it's been a few years now. I'm down 70 pounds. I still have a ways to go. I'm not on cholesterol medicine. I'm not on blood pressure medicine. And I feel really good. So I will say, if you can, try the little things. Cut out the Red Bulls by 1 or 2 a day and drink a little more water. Quit putting the bad sugars into your body. So I promise you, you will feel better. On behalf of the American Heart Association, DeWalt is a proud sponsorship with this organization. When they asked me to do a presentation or to speak to you guys about this, I was more than happy to. I've been there, done that, and by making better choices, I have seen some great results, and I feel a lot better. So if I can give you guys one word of wisdom, cut out the sugars, cut out the energy drinks, drink more water, and try to get some exercise, because I promise you, you will feel better. Thank you, and I hope this message reaches you well.
Thank you so much, Corey, and thanks for sharing those personal tips in such a succinct way. I want to welcome our special guest this morning, Cindy Easley. She is a registered dietitian with the Vancouver Clinic, and she is going to talk us through that, where nutrition and heart health meet. So welcome, Cindy.
All right. Thank you very much for the introduction and a wonderful lead in. So my name is Cindy. Oh. All right. Am I on? Ready to go? Okay. So my name is Cindy Easley, and again, dietitian, diabetes educator with the Vancouver Clinic. And I am very happy to be here with you today and to share with you about, healthy eating and powerhouse of foods. All right, so remember that food is fuel for your body. So this is kind of a real interesting thing because we don't necessarily always think about what we're putting into our bodies. And remember that basically we've got poor quality fuel. Your poor quality fuel is your low octane fuel. So basically, if you don't put the right fuel in your vehicle, vehicle's not going to run right. You're going to have things like knocks and pings and backfiring in vehicles. And basically, that's going to cause lots of different problems. Again, for that high performance vehicle won't run correctly. So remember that poor quality fuel basically is for our bodies, is going to do the same thing for us. So that's going to be your highly processed foods, so your chips, your snack types of foods that are, refined processed foods, your fast foods, sugary foods and drinks. So basically your body can't function or run correctly on those types of foods. And basically, it's going to increase your weight. It'll raise your blood pressure, your cholesterol. It's going to trigger your immune system. And that causes chronic inflammation, leads to heart disease, diabetes, depression, cancer. So again, it's more than just what we're, quickly throwing in there. It's really affecting our overall health. Our high quality fuels are going to come from things like your fruits and vegetables. We're going to have our omega-3 fats, your high fiber grains, legumes, all those different things that are really the powerhouses. So these types of fuels are going to lower inflammation. They're going to build strong cells and blood vessels. They feed the microbiome in the gut. And we're finding all kinds of fun things about that. It's going to lower insulin resistance, provide energy and micronutrients as well. So we want to try to go for those high quality fuels whenever we can. So next slide, please. So your processed foods are going to be very high in salt and saturated fat. Now we think about salt, and salt's just salt, right? It's just one of those things, okay, it adds some flavoring to stuff. We do know that, yeah, it might raise blood pressure, but how does it do that? What's actually going on in our bodies and how is it affecting our heart? So basically your salt is going to make fluid difficult or removal difficult for your kidneys. So basically that fluid's going to build up in your system and that increases your blood pressure. So that high blood pressure is going to damage and narrow those blood vessels. So now you have your heart trying to pump things through these narrow blood vessels. So those damaged blood vessels are going to in turn tend to collect fat. So again, if those foods are high sodium, high fat, you've got kind of dual things that are going on here that are causing problems. So now that heart's really trying to pump through those real narrow blood vessels and it's going to work harder, and that can eventually lead to heart attack or stroke. So again, we want to choose those lower sodium, lower processed foods for that reason. Low in fiber. So again, these processed foods don't have those fibers that we really need. Fiber, again, does more than just keep us regular. So basically it's going to protect your blood vessels. It helps to aid your digestion. And again, protects your microbiome in the gut, regulates blood sugar, lowers cholesterol. So it can actually help clean out your arteries if you get that combination of saturated versus, soluble versus insoluble fibers. So you've also got low micronutrients from these processed foods. And these micronutrients are the essential vitamins and minerals that we really do need to stay healthy. So these are all the, we got things like your minerals that are needed for multiple cell and body functions, vitamins, same thing. So again, these are all those little tiny building blocks that we need throughout our day, every single day, for our bodies to really do the best they can for us. We're learning the important things about the gut health these days as well. So your microbiome in your gut is that healthy gut's going to help your immune system work a lot more effectively. It also affects your brain, decreases anxiety and depression even. So again, that healthy gut from those high fibers and healthy food choices is going to help make us feel and think better. It also prevents cancer and diabetes, heart disease, all of that. So that makes a big, big difference. All right, next slide, please. So we think about the sugary foods. Again, sugar, right? So it's not that big of a deal. It might cause a little bit of weight gain, but it does a lot more sinister things than that. So when we think about this little graph, what we have, if you think about that consumption of sugary foods and drinks, basically what's going to happen is when we take in those foods, what happens is that blood sugar spikes pretty quickly in our bodies. That triggers insulin release. So, which is a good thing. We need to get insulin, to move sugar into those cells and use it for energy. But basically what's going to happen is that also increases inflammatory markers within about 15 minutes to a half hour of taking it in. And inflammation is something that, again, we don't want our bodies to constantly have the inflammation that's going on, because that can inflame our blood vessels. Inflamed blood vessels get weak. So basically we have this blood sugar spike that triggers insulin release, which leads to that obesity, weight gain, obviously, chronic inflammation. Chronic inflammation is going to make us feel real tired, so basically we're going to have joint pain. We're going to feel tired. We're not going to have as much energy as we should. Insulin resistance is at the bottom of my slide there. So basically that increased insulin resistance, your body makes more and more insulin in order to help lower that blood sugar. That insulin is causing further weight gain, causing further inflammation. That in turn leads to your heart disease, diabetes, chronic fatigue, cancer. So, again, sugar is not just sugar, it affects everything throughout our body. So we want to try to decrease those or get those out of our diet as much as we possibly can to really make a difference for us. Next slide, please. So how do we do this? You're going for the color, so basically what we want to do with that high nutrient value foods, high quality fuels are going to be your fruits and vegetables. So basically these guys are your powerhouses. These are the things we really need in our everyday lives. So the color, things like lycopenes, which are in your dark reds, so your fruits and vegetables that are a red type of color are going to help prevent cancer. They're going to protect blood vessels. So you have your anthocyanins. Those are going to be your purples, your blue colors in those different fruits and vegetables. They help protect against cancer. They help your gut. So again, these vegetables and fruits are helping to reverse the damage to the blood vessels. So again, if you have done those high, inflammatory foods, fruits and vegetables, whole wheat, whole grains can help reverse that damage. So they tend to contain flavonoids, which are antioxidants. They have anti-inflammatory processes, again, or properties. They are antihistamines. So again, do lots of good things for you. We also have the fiber, which I've mentioned before, that helps blood sugar regulation, lowers cholesterol, again, protects your gut health. So your omega-3 fats, these are going to be things found in your, salmon. We've got your fatty fishes, your tuna, mackerel, avocado, nuts, olive oil, canola oil. All of those guys, again, really healthy for us. And again, tend to protect your blood vessels and decrease inflammation again. Your whole wheat, whole grains, these guys, again, your beans, your quinoa, bulgur, brown rice. Any of these guys, again, high in fiber. We've got your high in B vitamins. You've got your iron, soluble fiber, protein, insoluble fiber. Again, all those things that we really, really need to be healthy. So again, go for those high quality fuels. You want to make sure you fuel your body so you get that good energy every single day so that you can be your best, feel your best, and again, help prevent disease and problems overall. So, so that's kind of quick in a nutshell. But, I can open it up for questions. Anybody have any questions or anything that they would like to, share or expand on?
Thank you, Cindy. And folks, as you are writing your questions in the chat, we did receive one. You just gave us so much helpful information. And what is something that you can share with this group, a first step? What's that one first step that you'd recommend to improving one's diet?
Yeah, make small changes at a time. It's really, really hard to basically change your entire world and your entire life. So if you make that one step change at a time, if you don't eat breakfast, start eating breakfast, have a protein source in the morning. Do something that has, a little handful of nuts, some sort of a nutrition bar or something, some oatmeal, something that has, again, some good nutrition value. Like we already heard making small changes like, replacing sugary drinks with water. That's a huge change that you can make. And again, makes a lot of difference in our world.
Great, that's good advice. And so 2 questions, I'm going to combine them here. Somebody's asking if fish oil pills are a good option and if coconut oil is good.
Yeah, so I actually prefer people to get, real whole foods whenever they possibly can. If somebody doesn't like fish, you can certainly work fish oil supplements in. So it's not, again, not top dog, but, it's one thing that, again, you can work in if you feel you're not getting enough omega-3s. And the other question?
Is coconut oil good for you?
Coconut oil. In moderation, coconut oil is still a saturated fat, so I'm real cautious about doing it as your main oil. It does have some anti-inflammatory properties. So again, little bits here and there is okay. But again, we don't want to use it as your main fat of choice all the time.
And the last question, do carbs from pasta and bread have the same effect as a candy bar or a sugary drink?
Ooh, that's an excellent question. So it depends on the type of carb you choose. So basically, if we have things, we do have studies out there that your whole wheat or whole grain pastas, whole wheat, whole grain breads are not going to give you that big immediate spike of your blood sugars. It may take a little bit longer. You can still get some of that increased insulin resistance from that, and that increased inflammatory markers, but it's not as dramatic as it is from the sugary drinks.
Thank you so much, Cindy. And as more questions come in the chat, we will be sure to log those and follow through with you. I just want to thank you for your time and all of your expertise. I'm sure we will be following up. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much. I appreciate being here today.
Take care.
All right.
So next up, we have Lonnie Land, and he's going to share his personal story with heart health and the impact of nutrition on his overall well-being. He is a Hard Hats with Heart ambassador and an incredible advocate for the construction industry and all his apprentices. Lonnie Land joined the International Union of Operating Engineers 701 as a crane operator in 2003 and was a Teamster crane operator for 10 years prior to that. He has served as the training director for IUOE 701 since August of 2017. He's a practicing Buddhist and vegan, and he survived a heart attack back in 2001 and used statins and other medications to control his blood pressure and cholesterol for 11 years before he found other solutions. He's a father of 6 and a grandfather of 2, and I want to welcome Lonnie, who is going to be here to share his story.
Thanks, Lily. I appreciate that. Yeah, so like she said, I'm Lonnie Land, and I am the training director for Local 701. That's given me a unique opportunity to be an ambassador for the American Heart Association, and I am eternally grateful. It's been a lot of fun to work with Lily and the people at the American Heart Association. So as Lily kind of indicated before, I had a heart attack when I was 35 years old, which is very young. So it scared me quite a bit. At the time, I had 4 children at the time. I have 6 now, and I have 2 grandchildren, like Lily mentioned. And with so I'm a busy guy. And it occurred to me when I was 35, after I had a stent installed and was on multiple medications. I had 2 statins, cholesterol medication that I can't remember what it was. And I carried around a little vial of nitroglycerin in my pocket for angina. And that's how I lived for about 10 years. I would get dizzy from the statins, and then they would adjust it and change it and modify it. And it was a up and down battle with my blood pressure to try and manage it. And it occurred to me that dying wasn't really an option for me because of all the kids that I have. So I decided to make a change. I went on a sabbatical. I've been a practicing Buddhist for almost 25 years, but I was not all that serious about my practice. And so I went on a sabbatical, and after some meditation and some long conversations with my loving wife, we came to the conclusion that a plant-based diet was going to be good for us. And within 6 months of switching to a plant-based diet, I dropped both the statins, and my blood pressure dropped to what it is essentially today. A few months later, the high cholesterol medication that I was taking, I was able to drop that medication. And just kind of out of a overabundance of caution, I carried around those nitroglycerin pills in my pocket for almost another year because I'd carried them for a decade. So after about a year, I was completely off all the medications. I've lived with a plant-based diet now for the better part of, 13 years now, I guess, 12, 13 years. And no, I've never had a protein deficiency. If anybody out there is thinking about that, everybody seems to think that there's a protein deficiency when you are vegan for some reason. I'm not sure why. It's true that meats do give you, and dairy products do give you a concentrated concentrated version of protein, because the animals have been consuming the protein through their plants that they've consumed. And as they've consumed it, it's been concentrated into their meat. So you need a little smaller amount of it. But to be honest, with a calorie-rich animal or a plant-based diet, a calorie-rich plant-based diet, it's impossible to be protein deficient. That's just not a thing. So anyway, it's worked out really well for me. I feel healthier than I ever have before. My blood pressure's essentially 120/70. I'm 55. It's been that pretty steadily ever since I made the change. I did start the change slowly at first. We dropped out red meats. The first thing I got rid of was nitrates. So getting rid of processed meats, that was the big one. That immediately had an impact. And then slowly but surely getting those other non-plant-based foods out of my diet. I eat whole foods. We make our own food every day. We have a large garden in the backyard, so we grow everything we can. We store foods. So for us, it's just become a normal way of life. I have 6 kids, like I said before. Half of them are vegan and the other half are not. So we still make meals, but we make healthy choices for those meals. And when the whole family gets together, it's a crowd. Christmas is large. But to be honest, it was by far the healthiest thing I'd ever done for my life. And I'm incredibly grateful for, to still be here. And my father passed away shortly after I had my heart attack, and he died of a fatal heart attack. My grandfather passed away the year before that. So it was a good indicator and lots of motivation. The medication got me to the point where I knew that I had to find something else, something that was long-term, something that could help me sustain a healthy life. And by dropping, I don't really drink sugary foods. I can't remember the last time I had a soda. I don't know. But I drink teas. I drink a lot of teas without sugar. I don't find that I need them, but in black coffee, I don't completely abstain from everything. I'm 55. I'm a construction worker. So, every now and again, I might have 2 fingers of scotch. Good scotch, but and that's it. That's that I know what it's moderation of everything will help in your life, and scotch is definitely one of those. But so I have been this way for a long time, and I don't really know any other way. I hope that that's helpful for you guys. It is a possibility to live this way, even as a construction worker, which is I'm the odd man out, I promise you.
Thank you, Lonnie. Thank you so much for being willing to share those steps that you've taken and really the dramatic improvements that you've seen in your own health. We're going to hear from Lonnie later in the training just around how he's using these resources. And I just want to dive in because we talk about taking these steps personally, but we also know that our goal is to improve the health of a workplace, and that may seem daunting, but engaging your employees and seeking employee feedback is going to be critical. So here's an overview of what workplaces can do and what employers can do. We talk about inspiring leaders, making sure we've got those advocates, utilizing the Healthy Food and Beverage Toolkit, and I'll show you what that is, and addressing the food environment. That's going to be critical, as well as communicating and taking action. So when we talk about inspiring leaders, that means that we are encouraging leadership to start by modeling this behavior. And this is going to create that foundation, that culture of health, which is what we talk about, the culture of healthy behaviors. Having your job site or your office supervisors communicate to your teams and your employees that you prioritize their health and their well-being, and that you want them to be making healthy diet choices. This makes a powerful statement. So reward and recognize those employees and those departments who are stepping up as leaders in promoting their healthier choices, and collaborate, work with staff from human resources, from facilities, from operations, because all of these departments need to come together when you're talking about making changes for a healthier diet and a healthier environment. In 2015, the American Heart Association launched a step-by-step guide to cultivating healthy change in employees' habits. And AHA tested this guide. We saw results in our own employees, including a 40% increase in general awareness of nutritional content of various foods and beverages. So we are rolling out this toolkit because this is a goal of ours to improve heart health for everyone. And this is a really, really key step-by-step toolkit with changes that you all can make to meet people where they are and consider the environment. So there's a link in the chat. You can click on this toolkit to see examples of nutrition standards that we suggest, or snack and meal ideas. We also talk about how to engage leadership and management, what to do in meetings or special events, how to adjust your vending machines, and it includes several resources and links. And you're asking who should use this toolkit? Well, it's designed for anyone in the workplace who's involved in the food and beverages. So often you have an operations lead, somebody who is procuring the food, ordering the catering, planning the food that's going to be at that meeting, to somebody who oversees the vending machines. And this is guidance that they can easily use to make sure that there are healthy choices at your work site. And there's also a community version of this toolkit for other organizations to be able to use. So again, it's just practical, actionable suggestions, and really hoping that this can be a useful resource for folks. Talking about environments, we know that environments shape your decisions, and our goal is to make the healthy choice the easy choice. And as we learned from Cindy, watching your sodium is that first step towards a healthy diet. Watching your sugar is also incredibly important, and sodium and sugar find their way into the ingredients that are on food truck menus and our takeout spots. And as Lonnie said, some of the places where he accessed food. And so we know that a way that we can support employees is by encouraging them to bring their own lunch. And that's come up a few times now, but that's not going to happen if they don't have a safe, clean place to store their food. And that's where we're talking about food environment. We recommend that you're cleaning the break area. That's going to look differently now in COVID, but make sure that you provide appliances to reheat your food, that the microwaves and the toasters and the refrigerators are working and they're well maintained, and that you have shelving and spaces to store lunch boxes and food and beverages brought from home. And even that there is a space for people to sit and eat their meals. And last but not least, we encourage hydration. This is a key to staying heart healthy, and promoting water is the best choice. So provide access to clean drinking water in all of those break areas. The modifications to an environment also requires education. You can't just remove a choice and assume that people will automatically change their behavior. And that's just, if you think about when somebody's taken something away from you, it doesn't mean that you're right on board to make a change. So we don't want you to go in and totally disrupt the environment without any conversation or any education. And that's where this toolkit comes in. So you'll see there are some links here to assess your food environment. You can use the toolkit resources. We have a checklist on a vending machine inventory checklist where you can really go through and see what our recommendations are for healthy beverages and the best placement. We know that if we're going to put all those energy drinks front and center in that center row, it's likely you're going to want to make that choice. So coming back to, let's make the healthy choice the easy choice, maybe put the healthier beverages in that front row. This also, the toolkit includes a contract that you can use, a template contract with healthy food vendors, so that if you're talking to vendors, you can ask them about their menu options. You can make sure that they have low sodium options and sugar-free options. And then this also can include you talking with other folks in your community. So bringing in a dietitian or a nutritionist, bringing in your union, your health benefits provider. These are all advocates for nutrition that you should include in the conversation. We also think about what is office food and what you provide to employees. And that's food that's given at no cost, that's usually available on a help yourself basis. And what type of food are you including as your office food? Are you putting out a bowl of candy right now? Or could you switch that to, as we recently heard, to mints and then eventually to fruit? So consider some of these changes that you can make to the actual food environment. We've also heard from Kraft and industry employees that they wish they had more information on nutrition or incentives to lose weight. And we also hear from HR professionals and wellness leaders that employees aren't taking advantage of these benefits provided through their company or their union. So there's a divide, there's clearly a disconnect, and we want to remind you that you may have access to benefits that you're not utilizing. So here's a reminder to take a look at your EAP. They often provide free or low-cost nutrition consulting. Sometimes health insurance plans even cover the cost of individualized nutrition counseling. And with COVID, it revealed that, excuse me, 1 in 4 Oregonians right now are currently food insecure. So that just means that they don't have enough money at the end of the month to purchase or provide food for themselves and their family. And making sure that you're aware of what local and state food benefit programs exist. SNAP, that provides a monthly supplement to your food budget, and Double Up Food Bucks, which is a Oregon statewide program that doubles your dollars, your SNAP dollars, at participating farmers markets and grocery stores to help you buy fruits and vegetables. So those are some of the examples of benefits that you may not know about or may not be taking advantage of. And last but not least, health insurance plans can sometimes provide discounts or incentives based on weight loss or improvements to your biometrics. And just reminding yourself, your staff, your team, and employees to review their health insurance plans and benefits to see what's offered related to nutrition. So when we talk about communicating and taking action, also in our healthy beverage, food and beverage toolkit, are template emails. This is an email that you could send out to your company or to your team that says something like, in the coming weeks, we are going to be making these changes to our food and beverages in our vending machines or in our cafeteria or in our meetings. And you can also include a pledge for employees to sign to show their commitment to health. The toolkit also includes nutrition guidance on meetings and events. As I mentioned, just taking a look at what is the food that you're actually providing for folks, and are you giving them food that has less calories, less sugar, less saturated fat. And last but not least, creating that action plan and really thinking through a timeline, determining what changes can be made immediately and what are some of those longer term goals. And we've talked a lot about the tools, and that's why I'm excited to share about our Hard Hats with Heart resource hub. This is something you may have heard us mention before. It is a central location with toolbox talks, with printouts, information that you can incorporate into safety huddles and meetings. And we have tips on meal prep. We have tips on eating seasonally and knowing how much sugar to eat. So this is going to be, and you'll see we're dropping the link in the chat. This is going to be your central hub for all of the education around nutrition, as well as some of the other health impact areas. And I just want to ask Lonnie to join real quick to share how he's utilized the Resource Hub. I know he's worked with his apprentices, used some of these tools, and just share out what's worked for him, and specifically what materials he's been using. Lonnie, are you still there?
Lily, I'm not sure if you can hear me. I've had some kind of a catastrophic camera failure. I'm not sure exactly why. But if it's okay with you, I'd still like to speak to this. We use the American Heart Association's Resource Hub almost daily. It's a resource that my instructors have implemented into our program for almost all, I would say, of our toolbox talks. I've directed them at this point to have a conversation about either nutrition, tobacco, alcohol abstention, or mental health. So we're talking about those things along with those safety issues that we also talk about: wear your hard hat, wear your hearing protection. So we're having a conversation. So we've integrated that into our apprenticeship program. I have 112 apprentices, and next year I'll probably have another 50. So I'll be running around 155, 170 apprentices next year. And we're trying to change the culture of the construction industry, not from the bottom down, but from a new generation. And I think that it's important that if they see that change coming, integrated into their training right from the very beginning, it starts the conversation, and it begins with just having recommendations, having a resource, and that Resource Hub is invaluable to us. So we use it, like I say, almost daily. And I wouldn't, I can't recommend it any stronger than I am right now. It's a great resource for you to use with your apprenticeship. If you're an employer and you want to have these conversations as your toolbox talks, it works fantastic. We just integrate it into everything else that we're dealing with. Heart health is important just as much as safety health. And so when we talk to people about getting certified as CPR certifications or any other OSHA certification that's required, we're also discussing their nutrition. Nutrition is the #1 medication you take every single day. It's the first thing you take every morning. It's a cup of coffee or it's a glass of orange juice. That's a medication. Your food is your medication. So we want to talk about these things, and we want to start those conversations with apprentices, and hopefully we'll be able to change that culture from a new generation up.
So phenomenal to hear. I love the comparison you're making to heart health and safety. Thank you so much, Lonnie, for sharing your examples of how you're using the Resource Hub. And I know that we're getting to the close of our training. If you liked today's training, please register for our next training in this series. We're going to be diving into physical fitness and talking about that on November 9th. There is a link in the chat to register. We will be covering how to incorporate fitness into your environment, how to educate on the importance of fitness, and really how to support someone trying to make changes, and the tools and resources, of course, that are available. So as a reminder, we host all the links to the recordings of these trainings on our Resource Hub. So please do visit the Hub. You can rewatch and share out these videos at heart.org/hardhatsor. And following the end of this meeting, you'll be redirected to a brief survey. Please share your feedback. Let us know what you learned. And if you fill this out, you'll be entered to win a Starbucks gift card. Please don't hesitate to contact us with any questions. And we're going to close here with a video from Chef Lauren Chandler. She is a professional trained chef instructor who has done nutrition education and cooking demonstrations for plumbers and steam fitters and many industry professionals, and we're grateful to have her here. So enjoy, and thank you all again so much for joining.
Hi everyone, I'm excited to be sharing with you one version of a very healthy lunch that you can pack for the job site. So we're going to be packing it all into a jar. That way we can layer it in a way that nothing's going to get soggy. So we're going to actually put the sauce or the dressing at the bottom, which is a good rule of thumb. We are going to use black beans today and red onion, lime, avocado, tomatoes, cabbage, all these really fresh, beautiful ingredients, lots of vegetables in here. We're eating the rainbow. So all sorts of nutrients are going to be in this meal for you. We're also getting some pumpkin seeds in there that I toasted in a dry skillet. And that gets some really nice minerals and adds some good crunch, and some fresh herbs, which has other types of nutrients for you, and a little heat with some smoked paprika, or you could use chili flakes. So all of this is up for grabs. If you don't have cabbage, you could use carrot. If you don't have tomato, what else could you use? Is this essential? Let's think about, like, what is the purpose of this ingredient in here? It's providing some texture, some nice juiciness. So maybe if it's the summertime and you don't have access to tomatoes, you could go ahead and use peaches. Or in the winter, maybe you use roasted beets or squash. So you think about this as a template and swapping ingredients. The onions, if you didn't have onion, you could use garlic or shallot, something else that brings in that pungency. And we've got lime, which is bringing in some acidity, that brightness. We want to balance out the ingredients with high notes and low notes so that everything's in harmony and sings together. And then we got the black beans, which is a nice base, which is really kind of richer and heavy. It's going to fill you up with lots of fiber. So we're going to start with this dressing, which is very, very simple. All of these ingredients are so flavorful that you really don't need much in the way of a dressing. So we're going to use a little bit of olive oil, just about a tablespoon or two, and some lime juice. I'm going to use a fork here just to get up in the middle of this and squeeze right around the fork. And I already squeezed the other half of the lime into the dish with the onions, because that makes the onions a little bit less potent. I don't like tasting onions for the next 24 hours, but so we get to just mellow them out a little bit. So we've got our lime and our olive oil. Gonna get a little pinch of pepper in here. You could add salt to this. You know, salt does enhance the flavor, but it's not necessary. There's so much flavor that you really don't need it. Gonna add our black beans. And you can see that we're kind of like going Mexican here with these ingredients. But you could, if you didn't have black beans, you could go in a different direction. You can think about how ingredients that grow together go together. So say we have white beans. White beans are very common in the Mediterranean, let's say Italy. Still use tomatoes, those grow there, but maybe we're going to use olives and we'll use lemon instead of the lime. So next up, we're going to add the onion. And you can see they turn a really beautiful color. They get really bright when you add the citrus juice to them. Nice quick pickle. They've only been sitting in that lime for a few minutes, but they've already gotten nice and bright. And then we're gonna add the avocado, because who doesn't like avocado? And that's gonna add some healthy fats that's gonna keep us fuller longer throughout the day. And fat, fiber, and protein are a really nice trifecta. So that we stay full, our energy stays up, and we don't have any real sugar crashes. Then we got some cabbage. Purple cabbage would be fine too. And this is really nice roasted as well, or you could saute it. When I roast it or broil it, I cut this into wedges and just toss it with a little bit of oil and maybe some salt and pepper right in the oven. Then let's add, I'm gonna go with the smoked paprika today. I like a little smoky flavor. If you had fresh jalapeno or another type of pepper, that'd be fine, that'd be great. And then we'll get our pepitas in here for some crunch. Nice little color pop as well. And then I chopped up some cilantro. I used the leaves and the stems. They're tender enough, those stems, that you can eat them. They're not too fibrous or woody. So you've got this whole beautiful lunch here ready to go. You could always, if you'd like, add some meat to it, add some chicken or add some fish, some shrimp to really bulk it up to keep you even more full. You could add cheese if you like. So I'm going to review these guidelines for you. One is thinking about a dish as grammar, sentence structure. So if you understand what this template is, what the sentence is, then you know what the purpose of each ingredient is. Then you can swap ingredients. You can decide if you don't need them at all. And then thinking about what grows together goes together. So we know that in the Mediterranean, we've got basil and tomato and my favorite, the mozzarella plant, just kidding. And olives, all those things, lemons, those go really nicely together. But if we come down to another part of the world, if we come down to Mexico, we've got the avocados and cilantro and this whole flavor palette. So if we had coconut and added that into our Mediterranean, not so good. Think about tomatoes and olives, great. But you put pineapple or coconut with olives, that's not going to taste delicious. And we know that when we just think about the globe and where things are growing. Then the other rule of thumb is harmony and balance, thinking about high notes like the acids like vinegar and citrus, balancing out with the lower notes, the richer, deeper, more savory notes like the beans, mushrooms, and meat. And then just really considering flavor and texture, color, of course. We eat with our eyes first, and we want to eat the rainbow to get all sorts of nutrients into our diet. So those are some of the guidelines that I want to leave you with. And then for a visual of this template concept that I was sharing, here's a chart that you can see. And you can see that you've got your base, you've got fruits, vegetables, herbs, nuts, seeds, allium, fat, acid, and you can see on here that another example of this template is instead of using black beans, you could use rice noodles. And you could go in a completely different direction. But again, just thinking about what the purpose of each ingredient is, you can decide based on what's in your pantry and what you enjoy the most, what you're craving, what's in season, how you want to move forward with making your lunch.